Wait, put some light on.
What's wrong? Little picture. Who there?
Yo, what's up? It's your boy Tay. I'm just adjusting a couple of lights.
And make it happen, aka Ed McMahon.
Empress Q. Stay calm, it's a plant. Bless up all the herbalists them.
Right. And this is the shiny disco ball of truth called Talking Sense with Tay. And we have already said that we reclash. So that means this thing can happen at any point in time. So we had these two very, very important young women from the movement. So we say, you know what? While they're here, let's do this. So, QUILIN, NAZMA, introduce yourself. Right now, QUILIN's hands are busy. We want to thank Sparrow for what is more Sparrow more. Yeah, we upcycling today. We're having multiple use.
We're integrating our cultural icons into the cultural plant of Trinidad and Tobago.
There you go. So, NAZMA, talk to the people.
Well, blessed love Trinidad and Tobago. You see, we're here blazing the fire, or about to blaze the fire, straight from Parliament, from the parliamentary chamber, where we just have to hold our meds to digest what we saw. The behavior of our representatives in the highest court of the land. They're busy throwing insults at each other, and we have children there watching. So we need to kind of hold a medi and figure out how to really deal with these people in a civilized manner.
Yes, I bless. Empress Q, for short, stay calm, it's a plant, also a representative of the All Mansions of Rastafari. And as Nasma said, we're here to be the conscience of the government. We're here to represent the people, the grassroots, Rastafari people. We just went parliament and they almost didn't let me go up because they said the red, gold, and green represents ganja. Well, I agree, right? So we're claiming that today the red, gold, and green represents ganja, and at the same time it's colors. So you can't.
So we're going to legislate against a color. What is that about?
Take away my civil right to
wear
parliament.
It's a public gallery.
Because of the ice gold and green,
We have to be like, do the motion. What emotion? We have to be like.
Yes, we had to humble and say, okay, oh gosh, please, you could let us in. And then
she said, we'll give you a chance. Okay, she said, this time I'll give you all a chance. And it's explicitly said, it was so funny because it explicitly said in their sign, no t-shirts, no vest, no. We had a guy with us who was wearing a t-shirt and he didn't have no problem. She said, sometimes we let people with t-shirts go. So he gets obliged, but the Rasta Empress in her khaki suit and her banner can't go in because I represent ganja, walking, talking, living. I okay with that, but at the same time, I'm a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago.
And you have a right to be in the public gallery.
Exactly, and we were quiet and respectful, unlike the members of parliament who were there and who had to be reprimanded a few times for being rowdy. And, well, you all know how it goes.
Yeah.
Make it.
Yeah.
So, do you have an idea about what's this culture about? And you have it there?
Well, our distinguished guest. What this culture represents is the voice of the people. Right now, we're trying to get all the opinions, whether it's expert, whether it's layman, right? Because what we want to do is get the public's reaction, the public's opinion, right? On specifically concerning these marijuana legislation we're going on right now. You know what I mean? So this is why I was calling earlier for like weeks, because I know if anybody could come and speak about it as well. You know what I mean? So what this here representing is just that we voice going and be heard. Even if our 39 subscribers alone get to hear it, you know what I mean? It's great because we have some real special subscribers. Big up to each and every one of you. Right?
Yeah, and there's something about this too, because YouTube, you have to have an account to be a subscriber on YouTube. Right. And a lot of times what you find is that YouTube content jumps out of the ecosphere there and goes into public domain and you don't get the subscriptions. So although you might just see a few subscribers, if you are a subscriber, thank you very much. And if you're not on YouTube, you don't have to join. You just share it and spread the word. You know what I mean? We always really respect that because really this project is about truth, is about spreading the word about things that we care about. So yes, we've kind of focused on cannabis and cannabis legislation because that is is going to have a huge impact on Trinidad and Tobago in the immediate future. So we want to make sure that people understand all the various elements of what's going on. It's not just about decriminalization of the herb so they could go and burn it wherever. It's also going to create an industry. And today what we're going to be talking about is some of those different aspects of the cannabis culture, the cannabis business, the cannabis economy. All right. So QUILIN, of course, I want to start with you. Stay Calm it's a plant. It's a foundation of what when I started into cannabis advocacy, one of the immediate things that popped out was cannabis and you, Stay Calm, it's a plant. All right. Give us an idea of what that project is about and tell us where it's at right now.
Sure. So about 6 years ago, this is about 2013, young Rastafari woman seeking, a fuller understanding of this liberty. And young herbalist as well. I started using herb when I was 25 years old. And I won't tell you how long ago that was, but, not so long ago. So, it was a new thing to me. I didn't grow up using herb. It was very taboo for me. I'm a convent girl. So my parents weren't smokers. They weren't drinkers. So I didn't know about cannabis and I grew up with it being very taboo. And it's only when I went to college and met certain people and then finding Rastafari that it really kind of opened my eyes to, this is not what I think it is. Right? And I started to use it. I realized as well that a lot of people around me who were professional teachers, people working Petrochin at the time, were herbalists. And even though in the public eye, people didn't even know they would smoke cigarettes, I knew them as herbalists. They introduced me to the herb. So when I started to follow Rastafari, one of the things that immediately stood out to me as well was the disparity in justice based on skin color. So because I'm a fair skin mixed, hybrid
Red woman.
In Trinidad, obviously a lot of times I would be overlooked, compared to being with a big Congo Bongo African brother, strong black brother. If I'm in a car with him, we might get pulled over. And the way that he would be treated versus how I would be treated would be different. So these are things that, trod in this Rastafari trod I saw and I was really indignant about it. I felt like I can't believe in 2013 people still going through this injustice. And I just thought if Rastafari could come together and unify, and the grassroots, not just Rasta, but the grassroots as well, that we could make an impact. And at that time I was traveling. I've been to Jamaica. I had seen what their cannabis culture was, which is very relaxed, which is very ingrained into their daily liberty. Whether you're a smoker or not, people know cannabis in Jamaica is good for asthma. Grannies will boil ganja root. So I saw that as a young Rastafarian woman. And at the same time, social media was kind of growing as well. And bam, I was a follower of Darren Chiwa, our prolific artist here, in Trinidad, street artist and stuff.
Shout out Chiwa.
Yeah, Chiwa is a boss. And yeah, Chiwa actually put up Stay Calm, it's a plan. He did that artwork. And I was like, this is what I want to say. This is what I want the public to know. Stay calm. It's a plant. And I reached out to him and I said, Chiwa, could I use this? I have a movement, a grassroots movement. I want to print some T-shirts. And he's like, yeah, I just do that little thing. Don't worry. He's like, I have a next one, legalize marijuana. You get no votes. So that's our next one for next year. I'm going to roll out. Legalize marijuana. You get no votes. Chiwa did that again. And this was over 6 years ago. So one of the Rasta elders, Trini Levi, always says, and I always kind of say it because it's become one of those things when you say it and you see it manifest, it's a powers. But there is nothing as powerful as an idea that time has come. And we see now in 2019, it is ganja's time. 6 years ago, Rastafari had a gathering in Woodford Square, and it was nowhere as big as the rally as last year, October. It was more for Rastafarian people, and it was a gathering. Also, what I've seen in the past 6 years is the amount of cannapreneurs. I mean, it's still very much illegal, but if you go on Instagram, there are so
Yes.
many businesses: Dirty Cookies, Baker Buds, Grass Labs. Well, Grass Lab is foundation, CBD medicine. Javid Bash. Um, Plenty kind of butter, ladies of 420. So, at that time it was just take home, it's a plan, t-shirt, you know. Um, oh, no, 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 no. Yeah.
Trying to figure out what
Yeah, I didn't realize it was the next one.
what are the delays
I
here?
know, right? What's going on? Are they playing tennis or what? So, so yeah, that has been the journey, right? Of stay calm, and over the years, where I'm still not where I've come from, where I'm at, where I'm going, um, is community driven. It's just to be more organized. I still don't have a team. When you see stay calm cultivating a cannabis culture, it's still Q running around, calling people, ordering the tents, putting out the chairs. So it needs to reach to where it's a sustainable model. It is a registered business. I made sure to register it as an apparel business. The main reason was I know, no, yeah, no, I mean, because it's like it's prophetic. I know that as soon as they say legalize, everybody's going to become a canapreneur. So it doesn't make sense to be a martyr to the movement and be like, I'm just going to give away my t-shirts for free, and no, I think let's get in on it. Black people need to get in on it, support local, buy local, build your brand, garner the grassroots. And that's what I'm about. I'm very much about the grassroots, about Rastafari rights. Um, that's what I stand firm about. So even though I just said build the brand, for me, that's about building the community when it relates to my
You are a
brand.
brand.
Well, I don't. That's a next.
You are a
Listen,
brand.
that is a whole nother reasoning where I just real fight that talk. I'm not a brand. I'm QUILIN. Like I'm not Chris
We'll talk about
Brown.
that.
I'm. So, I mean, that's why I had to just say that again, and I'll say it again. It's not really about me. Yes, I want to have a legacy. I want to have an economic model where my children could live and they could grow into a business. I want to leave a business for my youth. He's 7 years old and he already loves ganja. I mean, in terms of a herb, he knows what it is and he knows that it's a healing plant. And I would love to teach him and groom him into all the aspects of cannabis and cannabis business, but it's about empowerment for the whole community. I think if all of us sit on here and we make a brownie, it's going to be 5 different brownies. It's not going to be the same brownie. So it's not that we're taking away from somebody by saying, I want a license for me alone, to do big business. I don't think that's what it's about. So, yeah.
So there you go. All right. So that's Stay Calm. It's a plant. And of course, right next to QUILIN is NAZMA Muller. NAZMA has been the face that kind of launched 1,000 protests. NAZMA, talk to me about what's been going on with you. Introduce yourself to the audience. Some of you all may or may not, but this is the world famous. Let's hear what's going on, Naz.
So I'm on the 8th, Friday number 8 of my Greta Thunberg inspired protest for the legalization of cannabis sativa in Trinidad and Tobago, and then the whole of Caracas. So I started in Trinidad and Tobago, and then, well, we're about to kick off in Jamaica, and, well, St. Lucia is still grappling with their commission and so on. But Trinidad and Tobago already has the opportunity to come from the back. We said this a year ago when we presented the petition. He was there to the Prime Minister, and I spoke with the media, and I said, listen, this is an opportunity for us to jump from the back, leapfrog using our technology, our knowledge, our super penetration. Everybody has 2 or 3 devices. Everybody's on all the platforms. The moment the gates open for ganja, we are going to see so much happening, but it's not happening. It's happening in slow motion. We're watching paint dry. We're watching, all sorts of things. People losing jobs. People are, on the poverty line. I'm listening in the parliament and they're talking about renewable energy, but it's like something in the future that they're talking about that's going to happen, and they're hearing about it. People, I feel like I step into a time warp when I get on that Caribbean Airlines flight and I leave Jamaica and I come to Trinidad. It's like stepping back into the 1960s, 70s. Because in Jamaica, my inspector friend, I roll a split next to him and I blaze, and he's like, the conversation continues as normal because,
I've noticed no crime being committed.
Yes, there's no crime being done.
exactly.
Have no victims. Have nobody getting hurt. Everybody smiles and go and get something to eat.
You understand? So, I mean, I am coming from a totally different point where it's like I'm stepping back in time to bring Trinidad and Tobago into the present.
Our Green Savior.
And then you have, Pastor Dotton and the imams, and I think the Archbishop is with us for decriminalization. This is amazing. The Archbishop, the Catholic Archbishop, is saying he understands what has happened to our youths, how we've brutalized them. They're still in jail, so many of them.
You know what that would do for the church? Like they just put ganja inside the censers and sung it on. So much is going to come.
Charging you for them to come to mass, boy.
Yeah.
That is only bread and wine.
You know what I mean?
They will yam out the body and bread and Christ so fast. No, but I mean, this is so perfect for Trinidad and Tobago. I'm just thinking of the soursop infused, chocolate mixed with the cannabis. A strain called Maruga Scorpion, Eldorado Gold. Listen, I am ready. Just legalize it and I will advertise it.
There you go. There you go.
Let me ask you a question. So, the legislation has been presented to the public. I hear about the mistake because well, this is what I hear on the streets. I haven't heard anything official from the government, but the 4 mil planting, I really have a problem with that, right?
Yeah.
But I hear people say that is a mistake and that they're going to correct it and all of this.
Hold that point there, right?
Yeah.
Until I hear the person who made that supposed mistake say it was a mistake, I am going with what the man said. The man said on the Hansard in Parliament, I leaving it as that until he changed that statement.
Yeah.
So it ain't making no sense for me to tell the people that, it was a typo. No, it is not a typo
And
until...
you can't ask us.
Yeah, you can't, I can't say it's a typo. Make it can't say it's a typo.
The streets definitely can't say that.
It's the Attorney General, Faisal Wari, had to say.
But what did you hear?
My
What
bad,
did
that
you
was a
hear?
typo.
And what's your opinion on that part of the legislation? And that, to me, that they disqualifies the whole legislation as being legit, period. But we're talking about the legislation. So in your opinion, now, what is that? And have you heard anything about it being a mistake or that they're looking to change it?
I just wanted to say the point you all just made about it being completely erroneous. I mean, that in itself, the people have to stand up for that. Like, sorry, that was the point I wanted to say. You're saying we can't say if it was a mistake or not. Yes, we can.
No.
I know we can't correct them. Like what I mean, we can't say, he really meant female.
We can't clarify.
Yeah, we can't clarify, but we can say, I mean which other country has stipulated male plans?
None. As far as I'm aware, and I've looked at jurisdiction from all over the world, including Jamaica, this legislation it's copy and paste from Jamaica.
It even says the Gazette.
Yeah.
And
It's also a Trini thing, but the good stuff was taken out. The good stuff is 5 plants per household, and Rastafari has sacramental rights. There are no real restrictions or penalties for Rastafari in terms of quantities. I have a brethren who was arrested. He was stopped in a roadblock with 3 pounds, and the case, when it was called, the police never showed up and it was dismissed. 3 pounds, right? And he asked very nicely, "Can I have my weed back?" Because he's a Rasta man. And that respect that is accorded to Rastafari is absolutely absent from this legislation.
Indeed.
Yeah, I mean, related to the 4 plants as well, and saying Rastafari it shows their ignorance towards cannabis. And It's really disappointing when it took us a year plus to get to this point. I mean, I know you were there to many of the public consultations. Um, all across the country, we sat there for hours. We heard statistics. They said 84,000 people have been locked up for cannabis in the last 5 years, I believe 10
yeah.
years. 10 years. I mean, even if you divide that, that's still 8,500 people a year
Yeah.
being locked up for cannabis. A lot of them are petty crimes, just possession. So it could be a 5 piece, a 10 piece, you're getting locked up. And, you're talking about social justice in 2019 when half the world already, I would say, already moving to some sort of decriminalization. And you're going to give us this bullcrap, I mean, we have to say it like that. 4 male trees. What do you want us to do with that? And it really highlights as well that it is the grassroots, the people who use the herb, the herbalists, who really know what is best for us. You know, they will tell us 4 male plants, but they don't even know what that means. Why are you even stipulating 4 male plants? Who told you so? What do you want us to do with it? But if you ask the average man on the street, he will say, "What do you want me to do with that? Make
No, well,
tea."
I mean, it does say without a license. So obviously they want you to register for a license. We don't know how much the license is going to cost. In Jamaica, there's no license for plants at home grow, right? And nobody enforces it. This is the difference. You remember, you can have laws. It's how they're enforced. And the problem in Trinidad and Tobago is that what we have, the Dangerous Drugs Act, it's like that's the only law the police know.
But
That's,
the counterpoint to that is Amsterdam. There are 5 plants, right? You could be whatever kind of plants, 5 plants per adult in your household. So what they've done in Amsterdam, and it's only in Amsterdam city precincts. So if you live outside of Amsterdam, you can't grow, right? So in Amsterdam, the Amsterdam model is what tends to happen is kind of like the Cayman Islands business registration model. So you would go to an attorney and they would register your business and you would have your registered address there along with 10,000 other companies. So that's the same thing they do. So in one house in Amsterdam, you might see 50, 60 plants, but they will be tagged. Just the same way you would have a tag on your meter box.
Yeah.
You would have a tag. No, all of this is, I mean, this stuff you could Google. So
Yeah.
I'm certain that
These are just more progressive models.
Right.
Yeah.
So those tags will identify whose plant it is. Right. So in a house you'd have 5, 6, 10, whatever, how much ever plants. Right. So, but I mean,
Well, they kind of have that in the amendment. It's
Right.
called a caretaker. So you
Right.
can have a caretaker.
Right.
in
So
your-
what I can anticipate is that you would have plants, but when you think about what a male plant is versus what a female plant is, we've obviously on this platform we've obviously talked about how useless for the medicinal or for the personal recreational use a male plant will be. So what we're trying to say is that given that it is a female plant that is the only part of the species that is viable for the conversation that we need to have for cannabis usership on any kind of level, whether you're talking about extractive, whether you're talking about recreational use, whether you're talking about for personal medicinal use, anything at all, you're talking about a female plant, right? So that needs to be, yes, but if I have a 500-acre grow plantation growing trees, I only need 1 male plant.
Yeah.
You know, I don't need. I can go around and I can
Fertilize the whole field.
for the whole field with 1 male plant. So I don't need male plants really. That is for the and that comes to another part of the conversation about what is commercial cultivation. But we'll get to there just now. What I wanted to touch on right now too is the legislation as presented seems to be more or less focused on the punitive side of the law, meaning the jail for possession, jail for cultivation, jail for retail. Those things seem to be very well developed. The rest of it, which we're going to be talking about a lot more tonight, which is the commercialization of cannabis, selling the weed, selling the oil, selling all the different extracts, selling the edibles. That part of it seems to be very light.
Yeah.
How do you all see what has been presented?
Well, I see it as, like I say, I'm coming, it's like back to the future. I'm coming back to tell you what's going to happen, okay? What's going to happen is going to take them like another year, maybe. Well, first of all, we haven't passed the bill. The
Right.
second reading is not even, it's on the order paper for this sitting. They keep appearing, so we suddenly have to change $100 bills. We suddenly have to do all sorts of things. So this legislation has not even been debated. So this is why we're outside Parliament to push for this. Okay, so let's say the legislation is passed with amendments. Um, what would happen is they then look about to set up the licensing authority, the control authority. So that may take another 6 months to a year to find the CEO, the board, and then they begin writing the regulations, right? Because the TLA in Jamaica, the Cannabis Licensing Authority, they have only just, like this week, given out their 50th 50 50th license after 5 years, or 4 years, sorry, 2015, so it's 2019. So that's to tell you, it was a very long, arduous, tedious process in Jamaica. You have to have a lot of money.
Expensive.
The first license was given to a man called Bauram Baswani. He was the CEO of Marley Coffee. He owned a number of companies, cannabis companies in the US. Okay, so he was ready.
Right.
He had the capital, he had the knowledge, he had the experience. I think the license, well, his own, he has a number of licenses. He has cultivation, he has retail.
Right. So you also have to have a transport license.
Yes, to even move it from where it's being grown. So,
Research. They have a whole.
Trinidad
like,
is
it's a whole-
8. It's 8
It's a whole
license.
different. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So right.
testing, all of these things. Now, the difference, and I want people to understand the difference, is this is all part of the decriminalization legislation. What we have been proposing from day one is a repeal of all sections of the Dangerous Drugs Act that makes it a dangerous drug, because we now have the knowledge. It is not a dangerous drug, and it should not be treated as a drug, right? So if we did that, if we were to follow nature and common sense, we would do the easiest thing, but what we did was the most difficult. Okay, we have existing legislation to allow medical cannabis to be used, to be imported, grown, sold, manufactured, exported, processed, everything. We already have that legislation in place. What was required was regulation to tell you, okay, doctors, gynecologists, you can prescribe it for XYZ. Neurologists, you can prescribe it for this. Internal skin, this is, so it would have required, what is required right now is not legislation. We need to do away with the legislation. If we are going to get into this game, or even begin to rectify all the historical and social wrongs that this legislation has caused, is to simply repeal, make it legal, make it like shadow benny, make it like tomatoes, okay, and then begin commercializing it in a proactive way, which is to educate people. Make the Ministry of Energy one that is focused on renewable energy. Let's start talking hemp fuel. Right?
Yeah.
We need to talk, Minister. I told Clarence Rambrat that this should be your baby, right? This is what they did in California, and why it has the fourth largest economy in the world. California, off of agriculture, which includes a lot of cannabis, is because they, and I know the lady who did it, she now lives in Jamaica. She's a Black American. She, with indigenous roots, she pioneered the move from taking cannabis from being a drug to being considered a crop, an agricultural crop. Once we do that, then we begin to talk about Lakeisha Jenkins. Dr. Lakeisha Jenkins, she's a master herbalist. She's certified in the US. She was the first president and founder of the California Cannabis Industry Association. Oh my God, I feel like
all your Google, make sure the things we're talking about, while you go and look at
it's all there. It's like volumes and volumes, and we are now starting to write decriminalization legislation where people are, they already reach a stage where they're building strains for specific conditions, where they already know you're using your biodata, your height, your weight, your ethnicity, your background, your family, genetic history. You may have whatever tendencies or that sort of thing in the family. We can build a strain for you. That's where they're at in Israel and the US and Canada, and we're still talking about let's get on to the legislation that they have brought to the parliament, where the current legislation, the Dangerous Drugs Act, allows you up to a kilogram to be considered possession, right? Wow. After above a kilogram, you're into the realm of trafficking. This new bill that the Attorney General has brought is going to make anything over 60 grams, just 2 ounces. It's how many ounces? 16 ounces in a pound?
16 ounces.
Right, in a pound. So we've gone from having 16 ounces to no,
60 grams.
no,
1,000
Right, okay. So
grams,
yeah.
1 kilogram
Eight
is
ounces.
2.2
Right.
pounds.
So right, it's about
So that's 32, 34 ounces.
right.
132.
But anyhow you take it, we're losing a whole heap of leeway in terms of what you could be considered possession.
Right.
Right? So I don't know what kind of sleight of hand is going on here. Where you're trying to trick us and say it's gonna get better, but in fact it's gonna get worse. And the fines are now, I don't know if they were watching Playway or Lotto or NLCD and they just pick numbers. It's like $250,000 for giving a child ganja tea. It's 5 years and 5 years in jail. If you're caught with it around a school, weirdly.
And currently,
So let me just stick a pin in that, right? If a school boy or girl is in school with more than 2 ounces of cannabis, they have a mandatory fine of $250,000 and a mandatory sentence of 5 years. Mandatory, which is very different from what is in place right now.
Yeah. Yeah, like what is in place right now, and again, these things can be found online. You could look up the Ministry of Legal Affairs website and read the acts and the.
It's also on the Parliament website. All of the new bills and the bills as they have been presented are there as well. So
Yeah.
you can go and check it out. Yeah. You can go
Yeah.
and
So
check it out.
if you check it out, you'll see that, like NAZMA said, licenses are the only thing missing in the current bill, where it says you need a license in order to possess, sell, grow cannabis. That license could be one license, not 8. You know what I mean? It could be a cannabis grower's license, which would include all these things that you need. Obviously, as a grower, you'd need a place, someone to transport it. You would need, and then if you need import, export, then that would be a different business transaction altogether. That would be a next level, I think, and not necessarily a license act, but something that the government should get in play with, that they should be exporting cannabis as a national commodity. But in the current act as is, one is the license, two, the highest fine that you could get right now is 50,000. So that's a big jump from 50,000 to 250,000, and painting it with this brush as if it's
And
freedom.
trafficking could go up to 5 million.
Yes.
Right? So you're talking about some
I wonder
onerous.
if they spoofing themselves a bit,
These numbers just came
They're
out of
really
our hat.
serious.
Make a check and see if anybody on the live and like get a shout out on.
Yeah, we got a shout out to Diane Makita, all right? Bless up.
Bless.
All right.
Oh, look at more
No,
coming
you guys
on.
see good.
Oh, so now people start to comment. People
Yes,
shout
I.
outs. All right, Roshan. Bless up.
Bless.
Roshan says sound like a setup.
Yes,
It
a
is.
setup.
Right. Yeah,
It's a
boss
setup.
plan. Tupac dead 9/11. All right.
I feel like
Tinfoil hat theorists in the house. Yo, no, but seriously, like we have to make a big jump about what is going on currently. A lot of the people who have been remanded into custody and still have a case pending, and because they can't pay the fine, they're still in jail. Right? Remember, so if you get charged, right? You gotta get an attorney. If you don't get an attorney, you represent yourself. In other words, you're going to jail or you're going to get the maximum. Why? Because the magistrate was once an attorney. What do you think is going to happen? If they don't support you having to have an attorney when you have to stand up in court, they're going to be cutting their own industry? Who's going to do that?
Nobody is. The magistrate.
Exactly. So what the magistrate going to be? Was that you by yourself?
Family prosecutor.
Bust your throat. That's what's happening. It's happening in family court. It's happening in possession. It's happening magistrate court as well. So first thing, you have to have an attorney. That's $2,500 right off the bat, right? So you're talking about you get charged for possession. I'm talking about people who get charged for roach. That's a little piece of a weed that left back from a roll on. And these are true stories. This is not me making this up, right? Remember that youth man who get hold on in the cannabis rally?
Yeah, with
Cops holding a man in the cannabis rally. What is that?
A Bobo Shanti, not just a man.
God, a young fellow.
A Rastafari.
Youth, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What's that? Anyhow, my point is this. If you have to spend money to get out of jail or stay out of jail, you're talking about it takes at least 3 to 6 months to get off a case, regardless of the weight, regardless of the amount of cannabis you had on you, right? $2,500 for the attorney first appearance, $750 per other appearance, right? So that's money added up. Then if you say you're guilty, you get a fine. Your fine will usually be about $15,000 for a typical possession fine, right? First timers, you might get a little blind depending on how good looking he is, whatever the case may be. I don't set those criteria. I'm not a magistrate. But if you say not guilty and you go and you take a trial, what tends to happen is this. Your bail, you have to find bail money. Your bail will usually be about $15,000 to $50,000 bail. Depending on how much weight it is, it might go up to $150,000, $250,000. So you're paying 1/10 of that, right? Nothing stopping them from coming and checking you next week, You can get home next week, for the same thing, You understand?
Like get your before thing.
A brethren of mine, right? I ain't gonna call no names. A brethren of mine had a big army duffel bag of weed, right? Hanging up in a tree. When he went to court and a shopping bag of weed, he was like, boy, Teddy boy, if you see what they bring in court, I said, did you say that's not my weed? He's like, what you feel it is, boy, you're clogging up. I said, no, you should tell them that is not my weed.
Yes.
I had 50 pounds of weed, and that is only like, what, half a pound or something like that? You should have said. But he ended up getting charged, he ended up getting a fine, he had to pay bail, and he had to pay an attorney. Right? I can tell you because we end up trying to do a barbecue for him. We end up raising about $17,500 to pay off his case.
Wow.
Right? 3 months later, guess what?
Dogs.
Dogs. About 15 guard and emergency men. I'm like, what is this going on in this place? For weed, my brother. For weed. Somebody dropped the dime on him? Weed. How much weed? They didn't find no weed yet, But that's what's been going on. Right? He ain't no gun. He's not no rapist. He's not no serial murderer. Not at all. And I'm talking about this is reality. I'm telling you it's straight.
Yeah.
Right? So the reality of what is going on in Trinidad, and that is for like at least, as the Attorney General had said in his presentation, in the first public consultation, talking about over 80,000 Trinidadians and Tobagonians have had possession charges. Right? So you're talking about a lot of money. Right? I spoke to an attorney. The attorney basically said, listen, if I get 4 or 5 ganja possession case a week, that's $10,000 a week. That's a $40,000 a month salary. Right? And most of the time, you go to court twice, you go to court 3 times, case get thrown out because the police ain't coming, whatever. Right? But it takes 2-3 years. This is what we're trying to fight here. But it's going to change. Now you're going to be putting somebody in jail for a fine of $250,000. Who have that money?
No, not me.
That's a house.
No, well, okay, let me clarify. I think it is up to 30 grams is legal. So you can walk around with an ounce. If they catch you with,
Yeah.
2 ounces, you pay a
trafficking.
ticket.
Yeah.
No, between 30 and 60.
More than 30. More than 30, but less than
You
60.
get a ticket, right?
$2,000. That's the fine. It's 30. It's a fixed fee. It's $2,000 or 30 hours community service.
That's ridiculous because in Jamaica it's 500 Jamaican if you have up to 2 ounces.
How much is that in
Like
Mexican
30.
pesos?
It's like $30 TT dollars, right? They didn't even bother to print the tickets in Jamaica, right? Because to print the ticket to give you a ticket for 500 Jamaican
That's
because
more money.
it's just a kind of nominal thing, like we know you. We know it's still
Yeah.
illegal,
We're trying to-
so we trying to make it look good for the
Send some
Americans
more.
and the United Nations, but really and truly we just allowing you And to reach the extent where if you don't pay that ticket, which is $2,000, that is just ridiculous.
Then it is 200. No, 50,000.
Then you have to do community service, and then if you don't pay community service, your butt goes off to jail.
Or you have to pay 50,000.
Oh, but if you
Yeah.
don't pay the fine, who
Yeah.
has $50,000 sitting around?
And at the end of the day, it's not justice.
So
It's not
$50,000
free enough,
is the
isn't it?
better part of 10,000 US.
Yeah.
Right? So for some of y'all who seeing this and they're not Trini, that's the better part of 10,000 US.
Yeah.
So sink that in.
A step backwards. Just a step backwards, you know what I mean?
It's a big step.
You know what? It seems to me it's
For the
like
justice system,
Yeah,
it's a big step backwards.
Of course.
Yeah.
the whole point of this was to get this out of the judiciary system, out of the criminal justice system, where it never should have been, because you have not harmed anyone. And if I'm harming myself, why are you putting me in jail? If you're trying to prevent me from harming myself, are you having the trafficking? I could see some kind of justification that you're trying to harm people if you thought it was still a dangerous drug. Okay? The fact is, people are buying £2 to make oil for their mother who have
Arthritis.
or who have cancer or who have, you understand?
Yeah.
So there are people, a lot of Trinidadians who are office workers, managers, and so on, and they're calling me for this oil for their parents, right?
Indeed. Yeah.
Their grandparents, their auntie. There's one lady, she has stomach cancer. She admitted that when she tried the oil, it did work, but she got a little too high, and she didn't want to risk getting arrested. So she's now in a hospice. This is where we're at, where people could be saved with the oil. We could be making the oil in Trinidad. We could be getting people off of chemotherapy and radiation, and which does not cure them anyway. And try the oil. Let's make the oil. Let's give it to them. This is what a caring somebody with a heart would say. Listen, if we can save one person, it's worth a try. I don't understand why we have. It's almost a kind of spiteful piece of legislation to say, "Oh, all they want decriminalization. We will give all it decriminalization, right? With a baton, right? Because this is just. I get so upset because I'm
Cuss,
saying
NAZMA.
I'm not gonna. Do it. I'm not gonna cuss. But this is really a kind of slap in the face for our intelligence, for our rights. If I choose to medicate myself with this instead of Panadol or whatever it is they have in the drugstore, that's my right, and nobody can take that right away.
And it's election time too. Keep that in mind.
Are you gonna vote now?
Oh.
No, another thing too. Now, NAZMA, full disclosure, right? So my squad, we have a couple of people. We're looking at a significant direct foreign investment of a significant amount of Mexican pesos to start a major international cannabis brand. Growing, cultivating, processing, branding, resale, every possible niche in the market. We're going to do research. We're going to be doing all kinds of different things. Part of what we will also be doing will be, because we know and we anticipate, like what you were championing about the cooperative, we know that a lot of farmers will not be able to do what is the safest extraction method because it's costly equipment, right? So carbon supercritical extraction, we're looking at very large quantities, right? So obviously with Trinidad, we wouldn't be able to grow that amount. So we wouldn't be able to process all, we would have things standing idly. So we know that we would be able to, you could come in and bring your 1 acre grow or your backyard grow, and you come in and we could process your cannabis into oils for you. A big part of that, and you were saying, yeah, but you want to keep it for the Rastafari, you want to keep it for the grassroots. So that is kind of like the spectrum of where the investor side, of this business is going to be pointed. On one side, you will have the creative entrepreneurs like myself. We also spoke about people like Johnny Soon the other night. We will also have people on the ground who have just a backyard, who want to be part of something. the next cannabis licensees are going to be the next billionaires in Trinidad and Tobago. That's just facts.
A billionaire is a disgusting word.
That is just facts. Well, it's what you do with it, right?
No, it's a
Now-
disgusting word. It creates great imbalances within our societies. You know, those disparities in wealth.
The anarchists
Well-
tends to agree. Yeah?
No, well, get rid of money. I
Well, they're
mean,
getting rid of the $100
Get rid
bill.
of so many
They
money.
get-
I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's as this whole exercise we're seeing with this take out the 100 and put in the polymer, it's just paper or polymer or whatever, right? It's the idea that because at the end of the day, if there's going to be a natural disaster and somebody says you could have $10,000 or you could have $10,000 worth of weed to ride out the storm, what are you taking?
Take the $10,000.
Really?
If I use $10,000 a week, and I'll get a
No, listen.
$250,000 back.
In the apocalypse, I take any weed, my brother.
No, but what I'm saying is, you understand? The thing one is paper,
So
and
now,
unless
am I still taking money? We will be free at that time anyway.
and
I
just
will take the money plus take the.
Use what you want in there.
and to support NAZMA, I mean, like in Jamaica and Pinnacle with Leonard Howell. I mean, there have been Rastafarian communities where they survived only on cannabis. Cannabis was their main cash crop, literally. That they would come out from the hills and go down into the community and sell a little herb. And they were living, 2000 at the highest. They said it was 2000, 2005. Rastas being totally self-sufficient. This was pre-independence as well. I mean, they suffered a lot for it and all of that. But these things have happened. Everything we're talking about, we're not inventing the wheel. And that-
Right now, every day in the street, people battering, even exchanging wheat for fried chicken in Kentucky.
Or to pick up your garbage. One spliff. Pick up this bag of garbage, we'll give you a
that is the
spliff.
currency,
Yeah.
right? And you could keep your blue bills. Ganja is the currency of the underground, okay? And that is why people are dying over it because it's gold. $8,000 for a pound of ganja.
That's hell of a lot.
That's wholesale, right? You're going to the wholesale and you're paying 8,000 and you breaking that up now. You're gonna double that, right? And then with how now the thing about it is, which is so ironic, Trinidad is all about capitalism. It's all about the free market. If you could bring in vodka, a new brand from wherever, we have a limitless supply of alcohol. Wines from Chile, Australia. We have cognac from. Listen, you come into duty free, your mind is like 3 or 4 different. Where do I buy my booze? And yet for
Whoa! Hold on. Wheelan! Oh my God, Chief, yes, it. Chief,
Bring a special guest, come sliding this way. Yeah, all right, you're good. All you good. You have to go back in.
People.
Close to understand.
Yo, let me tell you, man, the red couch is hot.
Yeah,
It's
man.
hot. Sorry about that there. I think
It's
I have to
good
wheel
to
out and take
It's
it.
veteran here, right? Strong member of the Orisha community. We was having a discussion earlier about cannabis in the Orisha community. Because I know some Orishas that don't deal with it, right? And who not really on that. But I tell him he's one of the few I know who on it like that. You understand, man? And he's like, nah, to make a real important point, which was Orisha does deal with native on a whole. You understand me? So it's not excluded. You understand me? So we really want Orishas, want everybody to come and support, because this is a thing that going to benefit humanity. You know what I mean?
Just lean forward and make sure
Yeah,
people see you when you're talking. Yeah,
So,
but
Veteran Mumbly, aka Reggie, will come and talk, introduce yourself to people. And talk.
introduce yourself, say what you're about, and thanks for dropping by, man.
Blessed good night to everybody, right? Blessed good night to everybody and the
Word up, man.
right? And everybody out there too. We only talking about what them doing and it have more power than that. Don't study this government with what they're trying to do because in the past they was doing and they still can't do. I am telling everybody this, to control anything, you need minds. Right? And if your mind negative and thinking about all of the things you can't do, you will never do. And that is why they're passing all them bills to try to frighten. I am urging you all continue smoking your ganjas. Please. Right? But most important, forget all the money thing. This represents life. Orisha represents life. And when we represent life, we represent every life force there is. And marijuana is something I just smoke when I do ritual. You understand? If you don't do it, that you don't do it. So that don't mean that I am wrong or right or nothing. It is life we dealing with. And nobody's had to ask nobody permission. I not asking nobody permission. You could come up with how much law and how much for it. I go in and hide and smoke my weed. Catch me if you can. Right? I get locked up already for my one. I smoking weed since I was 16. I love weed so much. I live in Amsterdam. Right? I live there. You could go your 10 trees. But my whole thing is, why are we always waiting for validation from this white man to do things? You know what I mean? I'm not being racist, but we always them. Look how long we parents tell me about medicine. Nobody didn't care about marijuana. Marijuana is something dirty Rastaman that smoke and get them high. A white man come on TV and says cannabis, all of a sudden. It all kind of way. Stop doing this to yourself because you're embarrassing yourself. It is just like the thing what we call indigenous. You come with a big name, you call him, what do you just call him? He's calling investigate people, indigenous people culture. Right? He gonna learn anthropologist. See, there's Marco Obia. That's what he does to an anthropologist. Just come and see us do our science, write it down, and then send me home and build a thing called a university and make me rush to pay money to learn the same thing. All these things with ganja to they learn it from people who high society. They learn it from grounds people, from ancient people, indigenous people continue smoking and honoring the ancestors. You see, smoking really is not about what they think. It is about going into wells. Once you go into the well, everything done. So please, I'm asking everybody out there, use all your mind to legalize ganja. Stop worrying about what them government. Use all your mind. It's just your mind. And if your mind is weak and it's quantum, this shit energy that they bring into all you, well, all your shit mind. Quantum positivity. I give thanks to each and everybody, to the Orisha community. I say Ashe, blessings to all the ancestors, especially Eric Williams. He was a heavy ganja smoker. And I never saw, but there are a lot of friends and Orisha colleagues told me that he manifests. And when he manifests, the first things he asks for is ganja. So if he's the father of the nation, he asking for ganja. It tells me already. Bless up, lovings, and continue.
Is in the house. Reggie jumping in scientific. Thank you.
High science. Very high science. He understands it.
So let me just bring it right back, right? So remember we were saying that there are the two different ends of the spectrum, right? So you have the heavy commercial, direct foreign direct investor side. You have the so-called the 1%ers who already have the money, who jumping in already and who just waiting in the wings and the name will call it, and who would be using the herb in a communities basis, and people who would be looking at, okay, we want to do reparations for the Rastafarian community, who started this thing along with the sadhus a long time ago, but who were the people who were getting their dreads cut? Who are the people who getting fight down, beat up, their balls slam and draw? For what? For being able to smoke and relieve their stress, whatever. So we're looking at our full spectrum. NAZMA, QUILIN, this economy of cannabis, where do you see our potential? Trinidad and Tobago is we are small islands. We don't have the landmass of, say, a Zimbabwe or Australia, or we don't have the technological advances of Israel. We don't have that kind of knowledge base of somebody like the High Times magazine publishers. We don't have those things. We don't have the landmass of a California or Kentucky or Alabama or Arkansas in the USA. But what we do have is 365 days of sunlight, good water, the North Coast especially, Beach, Moruga especially. Where do you all see this local Trinidad and Tobago cannabis brand, cannabis economy? Where do you all see it pointed?
Well, I mean, in terms of economies of scale, we need to look at craft or artisanal herb. So to maximize your space, I wouldn't say we don't have enough land mass because remember you can have indoor grows, you can have greenhouses. So what we have to do is to optimize our space, and that's where permaculture can come in. So you have intercropping, you have you know hydroponics. There's so many things, and I don't think you should say that we don't have the technology. We have a smartphone, you Google, you order it, it arrives in your web source or whatever your Skybox. We're on. We switched on. We switched on. Trinis are like that. So I think it's really letting training, opening people on the grassroots level to the opportunities and helping them to access, right? Because I think the demand is infinite. I don't see, yes, Canada has a glut. Look at the size of Canada. So I think we need to also look at
A much
protectionist.
smaller growth cycle in Canada.
Right, but when they turn on the lights and Mr.
Increases the
Linton,
cost per
yes,
gram.
but Mr. Linton and Canopy Growth with his million square feet of greenhouse, okay, when he has those 4 months or whenever, he's popping, man. He's producing like 1 million pounds of cannabis, and he can go to oil one time. So this is what we're up against, and I think this
Yeah,
is where
Right.
this is where the legislation looks needs to protect us
Right.
from being dumped, from having all
dumping.
from dumping, and from Canadians coming in and trying to sell us their ganja and their oil and their products. Look here, this is the time that we need, and this is what this legislation is going to do. It's going to skew everything in favor of big money, not necessarily local big money. It could be foreign big money, as you say, FDI. We have to become very protectionist about our little space, because
They set up and ready to come and
no, but listen, this 30% ownership is not nothing. Paris is saying, "Oh, this is so." In Jamaica, it's 51%. Every cannabis company in Jamaica has to be 51% Jamaican owned, right? And Trinidad has to get even more protectionist because we're even smaller. Worse yet in Tobago. You understand? So this is where the legislation needs to be looking, not opening us up like skettles. We should be like, yo, we've been brutalized. We need some PTSD. We need to recover from all the trauma. Let's look like Rastaman. Let me give you 20 acres. Go and see what you could do. Right? You want a Jamaican come show you what to do? You want him bring lamb's bread seeds? Listen, this is where we need to be at. This legislation. No
They were
foolishness.
dangerous with the legislation also. Huh?
Hmm?
They were dangerous about the legislation as well, right? The way how it's set up, the potential for bubble, tremendous.
Of course.
If they just take their hands out of it and leave it alone,
Unless Rastafari is part of that licensing body. Rastafari has to be
I don't think the
one of
government
the
should be part of the people making the rule. It would be like it's like Catholics making rules for the Hindu temple, or
Exactly. You're
or the
correct.
or the
It has
Muslim.
to be
Yeah,
Rastafari. It have to be
yeah.
people who use the
They're not
herb
from
and
the
it's part of their
culture, or at
liberty.
least they're against it, or something opposite to what they normally just practice, right? So the people who is practitioners of or users of the herb, right? They should be forefront in any decisions being made about it, and they shouldn't be left out. It's like when they was deciding how to split up the Indian reservations and where to put the Indians and all. They didn't have none of them on there to say, well, listen, we have a secret mountain here. We want to keep here. We want to keep there. It was just like, all right, well, you go over. So you understand what I'm saying? So it's like injustice on top of injustice at the end of the day.
It is. And I mean, coming back to your question of where do I see the industry? I mean, the potential is limitless. Mostly because, as NAZMA was saying about how Trinis operate now, the world is at the tip of our fingers. Anything you could get on your phone, you could bring in. It's just opportunities, just the opportunity to plant. That's what one's waiting for. You plant, yes, one's going to kick off and just because they love it. But where I personally would like to see, and this again coming from a Rastafari overstanding of cannabis, is that it's just the queen of all herbs. But really, the herb is the healing of the nation. So it's not just to say cannabis alone, but it's a shift in our society, in our mentality to allow nature to dictate our pace. I think that's where we need to go, where cannabis needs to be recognized just as Rastafari, same way as a certain in indigenous and innate knowledge. Because you don't have to be dreads to be Rasta, right? But if you're heartical, you're natural, you love people, you're kind, you have Rastafari ways. You understand? You may not see the king as, as the Almighty or as, Jah come in flesh, but you have Rastafari ways. So, in the same way how I feel about the herb, I just want ones to start to use it as part of their life. They don't have to smoke it. They could use it in butter. They could drink it every morning as a tea. They could give it to their children in tinctures. You have the coal. And in the same way as you start to utilize it like that, you have the coal, you go and pick a moringa bush. We come back to that knowledge of ourselves. Exactly,
One of the strongest drugs we have in the kitchen is the nutmeg. So if you want to you go and grate up 3 nutmeg and drink that. Well, after the sweating and the and the anxiety, I think we're going to go in one of the nicest hallucinations we're going to never get to. But we're not giving out that information, right?
Next thing you know, they ban nutmeg. Next thing you know, they want to make nutmeg illegal.
Yeah. No, well, they already know about it. It's just, I guess, ganja does make a question authority.
Well, that's why they don't want you using
Yeah.
it.
And plus it'll make, cause, when the ban it and thing is like probably the man wasn't cutting cane fast enough or something, and it's like, all right, we're going to ban the ganja. And then
No, what the first ordinance? No, the first ordinance actually that was introduced was not to ban the ganja. It was the same thing this bill is trying to do, which is to control who brings it in.
Right.
So the first ordinance actually said you can't bring in less than 20 kilos. You understand?
Yeah.
You can't grow it because that's what the Indians were doing.
You get from Colombia.
That's what they want. You have to be able to have the money, the capital to bring in more than 20 kilos. So in this new dispensation, the 2019 version, you have to have a certain amount of capital to set up to be able to produce medical grade marijuana.
Right. We already reached the hour, but you now bring up something real important there. Right? So everybody who lock in, stay locked in, right? Because we're gonna go into some deep part of this thing here now. Explain more about that legislation we're talking about there and the regulations.
Okay, well, I haven't seen the regulations as yet, but following on from what happens in Jamaica, you have to be able to set up your premises. It has to be totally secured with maybe an 8-foot wall or fence, plus barbed wire, plus 24-hour security. I mean, like cameras and personnel. So then you have to register from seed. So your seeds will be regulated and everything, everything. So very few people, and of course it has to be tested and found free of all microbes and so on, and all sorts of criteria. Now this happens within a legalized framework as well. So it's not to say that we want those things removed once it's legalized. Obviously, just like any other thing with Bureau of Standards, it has to meet certain criteria to be consumed, ingested. But what we're saying is open the playing field. Okay, there's no set of major processing done with cannabis. Once you control the conditions for microbes, toxins, certain kind of fertilizers and pesticides, okay, if you're going to declare it organic, you have to follow certain criteria. All of these things are not beyond the grassroots. It's not like we're making alcohol or cigarettes and putting things in it to kill people. Well, you understand?
Well, I want to say to it. To the grass. Grab your mic,
to the grassroots people who figure, well, you just a man that smoke weed in a corner and you just wear weed to smoke, it could be hard for you. And this is an opportunity to really unite. Whether it be Rasta, Hindu, every one of the all out there, wherever religion or way of life just follow, all you know, all the number small. So the way to counteract these people is when they come with the big shot ganja thing, do buy from them. You understand? Come together, small people, like we do in Jamaica. All the poor people come together and let me just get one license. You can't tell me we can't get a license. We put the money together and get the license. So this is an opportunity for us to unite. And we ganja could be better than them one because ganja have vibes. If you commercialize it, and you want to smoke it sacred, I could tell you the difference. I could take a ganja just so and tell you, If a man had it hustling, or if a man had it giving it love. That is how ganja is. And ganja has karma too. If you play smart with it, you have things to come back to. So all the ministers who feel you could control, you can't control life. Life is controlled by the most high forces. And anytime you try to go against nature, all you feel that all the knowledge. Look at history. Anybody who try to battle nature, there's always loss. And Hosai is the god of all herbal medicine. Come out Orisha feast and learn about Hosai. Right? Don't read no book. Come and learn first-hand knowledge. You could read a book, but come down to Trini. Instead of go a party, find out about Orisha feast. It's not so underground. You just have to ask. It have over 200 shrines in the country, and it does make it look like we do even have one. But the Orisha movement across the earth, our ancestors, has done tremendous work to brought us here with ganja, right? Don't feel it come just so by human being, it come by spiritual force. And it needs to be more free. So I asking all when all they praying, pray about the ganja, believe in all the prayers, and don't use negative energies, use good word power and song for ganja. And you all go plant good seed, right? Don't worry about all the book, the right and the law and thing. Yes, that is to follow and certain, but it's break down to wisdom, knowledge, and spiritual understanding. How you think it is how it go manifest. If you think it got all them law and thing to clamp you down, well, I'm sorry for you. I know it will be free. It is free. And it's always free. Blessed loving to all. All.
You know, we touched on the 60 minutes and we rolling over past 60, which tends to happen inside this room. But, you know, we just want to invite some closing comments, maybe something that you might not have touched on in the previous parts of the conversation. You want to take a...
In my closing comments, I just want to say, Rastafari lead the people, from morning time. And Rasta have to know their power. Rasta have to stand firm in the faith. And if they say herb is holy, then it's holy. It's Jah we are deal with. So we, as the brethren say, we don't have to wait for no permission or no man to really give forward. We have to take the reins and say, Rastafari time now. You want to legalize the herb, you want to make money off of it, it's Rasta you have to come and deal with. So natural. And give thanks, for the opportunity, my brothers, for doing this, for talking sense. For talking sense with Tay, we need more sense talkers. We need and sense doers. After the talk, we need the action. So that's the next part come out. Next week Wednesday, Rastafari, all mansions of Rastafari will be hosting a press conference to reason about our rebuttals to the amendment. Wednesday, today is what?
I don't have a phone, man.
Of December.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah. So Wednesday, the 11th of December, we'll announce the time and stuff on the Facebook page or Mansions of Rastafari, but we will be giving an official word sound regarding our rebuttals to the amendment. And NAZMA is on the front lines Fridays until we get firm legislature that supports the liberty of the herb and create something that is positive for the Trinbagonian people. So we out there.
Well, blessed love, thank you for the opportunity to share the word with the people. The people, you all have so much power, you have no idea. If you can, come out on Friday outside your parliament and let your word, your presence be felt, because you are important, not only at election time. So also the Trinidad and Tobago Union of Ganja Farmers is about to kick off. I'll be starting in Maruga tomorrow. QUILIN will be with me, talking to the farmers down there who have been through so much. The TTPS keeps posting how many millions of dollars worth of ganja they keep burning down there. And these are people with families who not much goes on in Maruga except agriculture. And this is what I'm trying to bring to everyone's attention, that this is our wealth. This is our goal. This is what the soil and the earth is giving to us. And to burn it is just so, it's a spit in God's face. So let's stand firm, strength and power.
Yeah. Again, to the spiritual community of the world, you remember, all here, very powerful. They do not want you all to know how powerful you all are, but you all are very powerful. So continue in numbers with your thoughts and put your thoughts in control and just bring your manifestation to here because everything has to happen in spirit first. You know what I'm saying? And once it legalized in the spirit, oh God, it done legalized in the flesh. So again, to the Rastafarian community, all of the people who just deal with nature, gods and goddesses, this is our time. This is our time. You see that gunman business? That is just thing to make you frightened. Our ancestors used to use our minds, and so we're going to use our mind. The thing we mind is for copybook and ruler and pencil. No. Our minds is to create a new world. Right? And we halfway done make the creation. Right now we're going through the Willy Wally, let's call it the bacchanal period. When the tornado passing and making it bacchanal. But you see when the dust settle, we go get to realize, all the indigenous people of the world, you all be proud and continue to hold on to all your ancestry. Rastafari people continue to believe all them songs, all they be singing and hearing. It is not a pretense. If you believe in it, they will manifest. Continue to believe in yourself. Please, without yourself, it have nothing. So believe in yourself, and we give thanks and praise to the marijuana. Ashe.
Yeah. Free the hope, and the hope will free you. Straight.
All right, so it's your boy Tay, Talking Sense with Tay. Usually it's Tuesday, Thursday evenings late, like from maybe about 7, 8, 9, depending on how things go with my job, with the guests who we invite. It's a little informal. We have a few things we're still trying to work on, audio, etc., etc., etc. But you know what? The heart is in the right place. The mind is in the right place. We're pointed in the right direction. So as usual, if you see something you like inside here, share it, subscribe, talk. We want to get your feedback, comment. All right? So it's your boy T on behalf of everybody here. Thank you very much for joining us. We out. Talking sense with T. That's what's
Let me
up.
shout out a few businesses there before we close up from black-owned businesses. We support you brothers, Firepot TT. You understand? Go and check that out. Reggie's Veggies, which is my brethren right here. Shout out to the pineapple over on the table, that out to the camera, you know what I mean? Yeah, man, Rep 868. Go and look it up.
For sure. TT Game Plan in the building.
We don't know. We have Infinite Pest Solutions. Right? Anytime you have roaches, what's anything going on by you, go and check them out. If you need any musical instruments, you go down to Musicians Paradise and tell them I send you, go and get a little discount. You understand, man? Shout out to everybody who do anything. You understand? Me give thanks to you.
All right, so folks, we out.
Free the herb.
Free the herb. And we can't have NAZMA and QUILIN alone standing up outside in all our hot sun on a Friday. So let's come out and support, right? That's what we're saying.
And tune in on Tuesday. Right, everybody watching now, make sure and tune in on Tuesday. We're going to have a fire show.
Fire show.
What was the last comment?
Last comment. Yeah, I hear. Boom, boom,
Progress.
bang. Boom, boom, bang.
Guy, I'm a kid of progress. I give thanks. Boss Clan, Tupac did 9/11. All right, man. We out.
Yes, I.